Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mystical Awakenings with Deb and Arjay. We are super happy to be here. It seems like it's been about 3 weeks since we've had a live show.
We've been busy.
We have been busy. We had the Truth Seekers Retreat weekend. This past week, our producer was gone. So we're back. We're back and we're happy to be here. Welcome to KGRA, the greatest place on the web. We're super excited and know that we're not going to have enough time tonight to cover everything that we want to cover with this amazing guest of ours.
Yes. So tonight's guest, David Dominique, is a retired senior special agent with a major 3-letter federal law enforcement agency. We won't get into that, but you just guess yourself. He is an expert witness in federal and state court in digital, computer, and cell phone forensics, including digital image analysis, and has testified as an expert witness on these and other subjects numerous times in federal and state courts. David possesses a master's degree as well as having a PhD study, headed a college criminal justice department, and has instructed college courses in 2 colleges and 2 universities. David first became interested in the subject of UFOs when at a young age. He learned about the Roswell story from his father in 1978. He has been reading and studying UFOs and such things ever since, and has become well read and versed in the many different aspects of ufology and UFO lore. Since his retirement, David has conducted research on various topics, including the potential real U.S. secret space program, which I really geeked about talking about tonight. They may actually surprise you. The real dangers that the asteroid Apophis possesses, that's supposed to be coming around the Earth about April of 2029, as well as other topics such as the Younger Dryas impact theory as relates to ancient humanity, lost civilizations, and their technology. 2013, David attended digital forensics training for the federal government that was being given by a government U-2 pilot who flew out of Area 51. Turned government contractor, where the pilot made statements regarding UFOs and the status of American space and related scientific technology in possession of the government. David also has had an occasion to become aware of what likely lay beneath the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and we just mentioned that a little while ago between us. David has had 4 major UFO sightings during daylight hours, one of which in 1987 was approximately 200 feet away. Welcome, David Dominique.
Hi, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Look at that beautiful background you have.
Thanks for having me. We just got here a few hours ago. We're in West Virginia. I'm with Jason Kenzie and his Searching for Sasquatch crew. I go out with them and we go out in the woods and in the dark and see what's out there. But very beautiful out here. Happy to be here. And happy to be on the show.
So you have any luck down there so far with anything?
There's some things, yeah. We've had grunts. We've seen tree structures and things. Nothing, fall off the shelf amazing here. But you just don't get that every time.
Right.
We have had some incredible things happen, particularly up in Michigan, where
Absolutely.
I reside.
Yeah.
Peninsula, and even in the lower peninsula, there just seems to be a lot of unexplained stuff that goes on in the woods.
Yeah, we were squatching up there a couple
weekends ago, and but you were involved in the Monroe sighting. Maybe we'll get into that a little later. I watched that too. Yeah, good video.
Yep.
No, I was lucky enough to get the interview from the witness and his son.
Yeah.
Before they decided that they didn't really want to talk much about it.
Well, it's when you see things like that, that's not normal. It affects you in a really, really very different ways, for sure.
Yes.
Definite trauma involved there. Yeah. They saw something. What exactly they saw, I wasn't there, but what I can tell you is, when we interviewed them, myself, a guy by the name of Val Zavala, he's a retired detective sergeant from a Detroit suburb city.
Yeah.
and Chad Mathis, who's another local guy. When we went out and interviewed them, we actually stood in the places where they were at when they explained their story and gave it originally to BFRO. And if you watch the video, they describe whatever it was dropping from the tree and then taking off up a railroad embankment.
Right.
And they said we couldn't see its legs, but when it got to the top of the railroad embankment, we could see the back tapering down, and then we could see its buttocks. Okay, and that made complete sense to me when I stood where they said that they were standing, and I saw that there was underbrush that would have been blocking the view of the legs, which several things like that tend to lend some credibility to the story. So it was really fun to do. It was interesting, and I was really pleased with how the video came out.
And they also said I might have crouched down and went on all fours for a second, and then when I got up that hill, I stood up probably. So
yeah, that hill was so steep,
right,
that even you or I trying to get up that hill,
we'll probably lean over,
taking us to go on all fours to get up the hill anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and it sounded like this man has spent enough time in those woods, and most of us in Michigan have. He would know, I've had people say, well, it was probably a bear.
Right.
To me, there's a big difference in a bear standing up for a moment with the shorter legs and everything else.
Longer hair and everything else.
And a primate type being.
Yeah.
So.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, the funny thing is it was in Monroe, which, you don't think of a sightings in Monroe, but that's, you never know, so.
Well, the theory is that they could move in and out of the area, up and down railroad tracks, and also using power line corridors, and get in and out relatively unseen. And that's part of Val Zavala's work. He has Michigan Bigfoot report data. Gumshoe Guy's Corner is what his page is called. And he has the most incredible database. He has profiled Bigfoot like you would profile a serial killer, with different data points, anything from, being located on tracks, power lines, whether they're peeping, wearing clothing items even or not.
Wow.
Believe it or not. And so he has just an incredible database. And usually before I go anywhere out in Michigan, I call him up and ask him what I need to know about that particular area. Right.
Well, that's fascinating. That we're going to switch gears here a little bit because I really want to get into this because
give me 1 second because Bill Konpolowski, the director of MUFON here in Michigan, just let me know that the Facebook version of this podcast is saying starting soon. I am having an awful time getting that going on Facebook. It just will not let me do it. So everybody please go to, or advise your friends to go to Mystical Awakenings podcast and find the live video so you can see this.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll get that.
Or KG area.
We'll try to get that straightened around. But
thank you, Bill.
So you did another documentary on the secret space program. And for our listeners who don't know about that, I came aware of it, like most people, back in 2015 when a gentleman named Corey Good came out. Now, I understand that he got kind of discredited, but in my opinion, I think they came after him. And look what happened to Bob Lazar, David. They discredited him too.
They sure did.
And so, I think they told him, hey, you're getting into something that you should be talking about. And he said he was threatened, and so he had to backpedal and everything else. But anyway, Corey Good is the first person I saw, along with David Wilcock, that they came out and talked about the secret space program. But your documentary is kind of unique because it deals with kind of pointing out the little proof about. Well, tell us a little bit about those spacesuits. You said that those spacesuits came out earlier than what they were supposed to, right? There was evidence of them an earlier program, like Gemini program, right?
Yeah, like the Gemini program, they had like silver spacesuits. They're clearly different. The helmets were different, but there was a secret space program running in tandem with the Gemini program, and it was to use a Gemini stage to create a MOL, manned operating laboratory, orbiting
Right.
laboratory, that would be staffed by 2 astronauts,